Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I am your host for today's activities. Our topic today is brought to you by Peggy Spear with the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. Peggy is bringing us rainbows today. Peggy, take it away.
All righty. All right, let's get this rocking and rolling.
Rock and roll, yeah.
I didn't say
Rock
that.
and roll rainbows.
Why can't I find my... All right, let me try again. I cannot find my PowerPoint when I'm trying to share my screen. So let me exit out, open it again. And we thought it was going to be a smooth opening, guys.
Hey, well, you know.
They
we
let
go.
me do this every day, so
There we
don't
go.
worry
You
about
got
it.
it.
All right, now we're cooking with gas.
Yay.
Okay, so today's theme is rainbows. This whole month we're kind of doing an Earth focus because Earth Day falls on the 22nd, and we're probably really ready to be outside now after the winter we had and finally feeling summer or springy. So we're going to look at this painting first. So the theme is rainbows. What do we see?
I see a,
Oh,
A rainbow,
yep, see a partial rainbow, yeah.
partial.
Very top.
Yep.
Look,
All right, so
like-
we see at the very top the rainbow. What is under the rainbow?
Clouds.
Some clouds.
Clouds.
and a lake.
Close. It's not a lake. The title gives it away.
Oh,
Um,
okay. It's the ocean.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
A river.
Staten Island.
It's the Narrows into New York City out into the Atlantic. So where we're situated, we're on Staten Island.
Ah.
Looking across the Narrows to, I think, Brooklyn. What will be Brooklyn? So what do we see? This was painted in 1868, so not quite the boroughs of New York that we know today.
Is that a
what- Did I get?
is that a chimney from a burnout house or something there, right there?
Yeah, I at one point knew what all these buildings are, and I couldn't for the life of me not find out what it was, or couldn't find my notes. But I think that was actually where they make ammunition, where at the top they would drop the bullet down to cool, and it would hit the bottom in the water. I think that's part of that factory.
Yeah, because you can look at the people and you can see that would be a great big chimney.
Yeah, right. A very warm home indeed. No, I think it's part of a factory.
Factory, okay.
It's a beautiful landscape, almost a farming landscape.
Yes, it's very rural considering how close to New York City it was.
The sailboats.
The sailboats, yes, and it looks like a pretty lively harbor. I mean, we've got sailboats coming in, we've got sailboats going out.
Schooner. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a schooner.
You get the hustle and bustle of the port in New York City,
Yeah.
but as Yetta pointed out, we're in a very rural part of the state at that time. And so this was painted in 1968, so right after the Civil War. And we've seen this theme in other post-Civil War paintings, where it's sort of the hearkening back to kind of a more simpler time, a more peaceful time. And so that is often associated with outdoors landscape away from the industrializing cities. So you don't get the feel that we're in the thick of cities, especially New York, and that growing boom. I mean, maybe you do. I don't, but maybe you do.
This is very definitely also in the time people were painting extremely realistic. I first thought this was a photograph.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and painting in plein air, which if you look closely, you see a grouping of people on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You see a couple and then a man sitting and he's painting on canvas and there are two children kind of peering in, peeking to see what he's painting.
Ah.
So do you think this is a funeral?
Or just a painting?
A funeral?
Yeah, the people.
I don't think. I think this is actually a family might have wanted their portrait painted. And they either went out to what was a beautiful landscape, or a family was already out and stumbled across an artist who was doing his thing and were interested in what he was doing. So it's
Okay.
probably one of those two scenarios. And some art historians speculate that the artist painting in the picture is actually a portrait of the artist himself painting.
Mm.
He was from this part of the world, from Staten Island. And this is a massive painting. I'm going to show you that for context, how big this painting actually is.
Aye.
So it's pretty spectacular, the detail he's able to capture. And because you can see right here is where that collection of that little grouping of people is.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's able to capture a lot of detail. And the buildings too are actually true buildings that existed at the time. And at one point, I knew what they were. Like, I want to say this building right here was maybe a military or like a naval hospital, I believe. All of these buildings did actually exist as they were. So I know some of us like these more realistic. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw something that said I lost audio, so I didn't know if that was me. I know some of y'all like more of these realistic paintings. Do you like this one, or is this kind of a?
I like this one.
I like
this one.
I like
Peggy,
it.
what's in front of the people
Is this
on the
Right here?
ground?
There's rocks.
rock?
Are those rocks in front of it?
Yes, rocks,
Okay.
and then there's a cow over here.
Cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it really does give you a very rural vibe in
Yes.
a time where that was something that was starting to be part of the past, at least in this part of the world. And a lot of artists, particularly landscape artists, viewed this this vantage point, because you're up a little higher, you're looking down into the Staten Island Narrows. You can see the other side of the shore. This was viewed as one of the most beautiful landscape scenes in the US at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think he captured the beauty of that port, that area? Or do you
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's very pretty. Yes.
And even though the rainbow doesn't seem to do much, does it make you feel a certain way within the painting?
Sure.
What do you feel, Don?
I feel like the rainbow's just a happy note on the entire painting.
Yeah.
Although I'm trying to figure out how the rainbow's there when it's up so high above the clouds like that.
Mm-hmm.
Artists doing that artistic liberty stuff.
That's, I know. I'm not trying to say anything about that. I'm just looking at it like from a physics problem. Okay, so that doesn't apply to this. It's art.
Right. But I agree. I mean, it doesn't scientifically quite make sense why it's there, but it adds kind of that nostalgic feeling, that happy feeling of everything feels peaceful and serene. And
yes.
so it's a minor inclusion, but I think it's an important one.
So Peggy, was this kind of painting? Was there a lot of this after the Civil War, looking for peaceful areas to kind of remind people that the war is over and that things are getting back to normal?
Yeah, and sort of a nostalgic mindset of, think of parts of the country have been destroyed, families have been separated, the cities were now hubs for industrialization, which meant pollution, which meant poor housing and living situations. So this really, you don't get a sense that the country was recovering. It was kind of a, yeah, it was meant as like, we can get back there. Let's get back there. This is what we were. Let's do it again.
Hopeful.
Hopeful, very hopeful.
I like it.
And people just wanted to see something happy after so
Yeah.
many years of sad. So, you know,
Yeah.
this is, everyone seems to kind of gravitate towards the beauty of this. And so that was very much appreciated at art at the time. All right, so we're shifting gears. This is very traditional oil on canvas, a very large, like we saw, painting. So now we're gonna go
Wow.
really graphic.
Oh,
So this is a screen print for work on
Interesting.
paper. And it's called Pieces of Sky. So what pieces of the sky are we seeing?
We'll
The
see.
clouds and a bird.
Airplane,
Airplane,
night,
rainbow.
Rainbow.
night,
Rainbow.
An
And
an
night-
evening or nightscape.
On the horizon.
the
And a-
horizon, yeah.
Yeah, a flock of birds on the horizon.
Mhm. So what, looking at this, what, do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Do you feel kind of mixed emotions? What kind of, do you feel
Whimsical.
Confused.
Whimsical.
I think it's a nice
Whimsical.
play on the sky. You can actually substitute pieces of sky for pieces of pie. They look kind of pie-shaped pictures.
Yeah, I think you hit on something, Don, that kind of that play on words. This was done when, you know, on the heels of pop art. Think of Andy Warhol. So
1971.
there's, you know, taking very identifiable things, everyday things, and making them have a little more meaning. So yeah, instead of piece of pie, it's a piece of sky.
Really?
Pie in the sky, right? Another play on word.
It reminds me of music from Yentl.
Really? Now I'd like to hear how that worked, man.
Yeah, walk us through it.
When she starts life as a woman and decides she's going to be a man, and she sings a song about, I can only see a piece
Oh.
of sky. And then I went outside and looked around, and it was such a wide, beautiful
Okay.
world. I think that the music was a piece of
Okay.
sky,
That's very interesting. That's good.
but that was much after this painting.
So then pieces of what would you add in your little slice of sky? What kind of scene would you put?
Sunset.
Sunset?
Sunset or sunrise.
That's a good one.
That's-
Part of the pie gone.
Did anyone grow up in a city, in a very urban area? Maybe you would see a skyline.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd like to see some more nature in the form of maybe some rain or thunderclouds or something like that.
Yeah, it feels very cheery, this
Mhm.
piece of sky.
To me, it's as
Rain-
if the changing of, changing during the day. You have clouds, then the birds come in the next one, and then he goes a little low, and you see the landscape with birds, and then a
Oh,
plane
that's good.
thin and night, and then it's
Oh, I
a
like it. So you're
rainbow.
almost seeing it as it's like telling a story of what from morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah.
because the second one is almost the same as the first one, except the bird in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where the
It's almost
clouds are the same.
identical. Yeah,
Yeah.
And the clouds are a
clouds are
little bit
similar.
different, like it would be just
yeah,
after it drifted just a bit.
right.
Yep.
This, and the
Yeah.
middle one and the
The
bottom,
little
the
close-
dark one, the clouds are about the same too.
Yeah, here and here.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's using a stamp or something, you know? This is
Yeah.
actually a woman. This is actually a female artist, and she's still alive and producing art today. She's from
Wow.
Austria, but moved to the US.
She got something in mind and decided to figured it out and then decided to reduplicate it.
Well, since it's a screen print, it can't, it's not exact, so it can't be a
Right.
stamp.
No, it's
No,
not. And
no.
she could have used a template that she might have traced and then used, but yeah, it's not, it would not be a stamp. The way screen printing works, and we've seen some other examples, is you lay it down and then you run a squeegee over it. And so it's all, you know, with different inks. So you're layering on different colors in almost like a
So Peggy,
paint by number.
so since this is a screen print, did she make multiple copies of this?
She did. And from what I could find, the MoMA in New York City has a print of this. But her artwork, and she did another version, I think it was like rocks, kind of similar to this. But a lot of her artwork, this is pretty clean looking compared to some of her other artworks. A lot of it is filling the entire paper. It's a lot of colors and layering of colors. So this was not 100% typical of the artwork I've seen of hers, but you can actually still buy her artwork is all over the market. So if you give her name a Google, you'll be able to find different galleries or art vendors that are still, her stuff is still available for purchase at a relatively affordable price. So I did not see any of these on the market right now, but I know the MoMA at least is showing it has a copy of this. All right, so we're gonna leave
Did you
these
see this one?
little slices of pie. Whoop, and we're moving on now to this. This is a lithograph. So another work on paper. All right, so what do we see? What details jump out at you first?
Wow, this is kind of interesting.
Tree stump.
The
A
tree
tree
stump
stump.
jumps out.
Yeah, and it looks like the colors are coming in from above and rainbows are coming out the side of it.
Correct.
Or I saw it as the rainbows going into the box and the color shooting out the top.
Oh, that could work too.
But
Yeah.
I saw, yeah, like it
You mean, I
exploded in
actually
the,
thought that way too. And I don't know which way we're supposed to see it. My thought, okay, so let me give you a little context. This artist, he was, this was with the Tamarind Studio. So we've seen plenty of artists come through this Tamarind print shop in LA. He was there for 8 weeks and he created, I believe it was an 18-page portfolio. So we see, this is print number 7 in the 18 pages. You can see the 7 in the corner. And he created this portfolio based on a road trip he took cross country with his wife in the 60s. So you're only seeing one slither of what is an 18-page reflection, basically, on his trip across the country. So he was married, but a lot of undertones in this particular portfolio were related to homosexuality. So the rainbow, to me, once I kind of, understood, okay, this is a theme of his, the rainbow to me, then it looked like it was coming in and creating the rainbow, in that America was, during the 50s and 60s and 70s, there was this civil, move towards accepting homosexuality in America.
Mhm.
But I don't know, he didn't write that.
So you say
Say that again, Don?
he was taking a road trip across the country in the 60s?
Yes.
Those
So he
rainbows
was-
could be something else altogether.
Right, and then it could be, and he was totally interested in the landscape too. It could be a drug-induced haze he was enjoying.
Yeah.
It could be,
It's extremely psychedelic.
psychedelic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there, and he was in California too. So, Height
yeah.
Ashbury, there's tons of psychedelic posters that were coming out during that time that could totally have influenced him. I didn't come across any of those things. But I mean, he was using selecting images that were totally iconic to the United States at that time. So people were used to seeing these types of rainbows and palm trees and mountains and things that were America, but things that were in culture that visual culture that people were used to seeing.
You can
And so too, oh, go ahead, Janine.
to me, the very first thing I saw was the continuation of the tree from the stump underneath the box to the colors above the box, like that being the leaves and stuff like that.
Right.
So maybe because the one tree trunk is chopped off, maybe they're talking about also generating new life from something that was dead.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he was really interested in this idea of America is beautiful, but we're also killing America at the same time and destroying America. So that truncated tree, you know, you're yes, it's a dead tree, but then we see above it beautiful life or color and vibrance that is kind of resulting from something that's dead. So you're hitting on themes he was dealing with and thinking about as he was traveling across the country.
Hey, Peggy,
Yeah.
this is an unrelated question, but is it common for artists to write like travel, some sort of commentary along with the paintings that they make, or they just put it out there?
Kind of like diaries that they might keep away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the person.
Okay.
It really depends on the person. And so there's a lot known about what he was thinking when he created this particular portfolio of 18. I could not find anything specifically commenting on this particular slide, but he got pretty close with the printmakers at Tamarind. And so there's a letter he left them. So we were able to see what he wrote as a thank you to the people who helped him print.
Oh, that's great.
So there a lot of correspondence is often how we learn some of the intent or interest with the artist. Sometimes it's interviews. I mean, it really depends on the individual. So he really enjoyed his 8-week stay, and was based in Chicago. So he then left LA and went back to Chicago and was working with the Art Institute of Chicago and other art vendors, art powerhouses in Chicago as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And so anyway, it's just kind of a fun, cheerful rainbow.
Does anybody see a television in the middle?
I do.
I can see that being a television.
That was my first thought.
But
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
I needed verification.
he was really interested in like cyborg type of
yeah.
And so this is kind of an example. You nailed it, Martha. You might be a cyborg lover yourself, but he would kind of integrate these robot-y type things into some of his artwork.
So it's really a rainbow machine.
Yeah. And so anyway, when he finished his stay at Tamarind, the studio would give you a portfolio that you would be able to transport all of your works with that you wanted to take with you. And so he rejected that, and he built his own portfolio out of wood, where he stacked all of them in.
Oh, okay.
And so it was kind of a bucking the system, the art system, and doing, kind of sticking it to the man. And I'm going to make this, and because it will be in wood, it has a heavier presence than maybe it might in a portfolio case. So sometimes when you see these artworks on view ever, some we don't, I believe, but some museums have the wood box that it came in. So
How big is this, Peggy?
of course I didn't write it down, but I'm willing to guess probably 24 by 24. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And,
If you see that as a television and it's saying "See America First," he could be saying, instead of staying home and watching television, why don't you go across the country and take a road trip like me?
Yeah, true.
Totally. Yeah, especially in the 60s. I mean, I feel like TV was more and more on the rise. All right, well, we got one more rainbow. We've got a double rainbow, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty.
I know this is just a beautiful photograph. So what jumps out at you first?
Well, the rainbow.
Does the rainbow hit you first?
Yeah. Yeah. The second
I'm
rainbow is a
assuming
little
it's
bit,
this one, or is it this one?
it's the first one. I like the one on the left is what,
Got
when
you.
you said double rainbow, I had to search for the other one.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Wait, is it not? Maybe it's not a double rainbow, and I'm just assigning it.
Well, it
Well, it
could be
looks
it.
like it. It
Well,
looks
I
like
think
it.
It looks like
Looks like there's
Very
some color.
Mhm.
Very diffuse.
Mhm.
But the
But
second
it's the
one is
rainbow.
always diffuse, I find.
Yeah.
That one right there.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad other people are seeing it. I was going to say, I think I might be having stroke, guys. No one else is seeing it. All right, so we see rainbows in the sky. Does it look like it's raining, finished raining? What is the sky? What's the story the rest of the sky is telling us?
There's a lot of water in that cloud.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Folks,
It
I'm gonna
does-
have to leave. Thank you.
All right.
See
See
you
you later,
tomorrow.
Steve.
Bye.
Bye, Steve.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it looks like there's rain right in front of it, but it looks like in the background, the hills or mountains or whatever have sunlight on them too.
Mhm.
Usually a rainbow's after the rain.
Yeah, there's always a little rain in the sky, and then the sun is shining at the same time.
That's right.
Yes.
The
Yeah, it
devil's
feels like
beating
it
his
might
wife.
be on its way out.
The mountains are probably a way out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
What time of year might you think this is?
Spring or summer.
Spring or early summer, probably?
Yeah.
Spring.
I don't think those are
I think
sunflowers.
it's
I'm not sure what they
Spring.
are.
I think it's wildflowers.
Yeah, I don't think it's sunflowers.
Mm-mm.
No. Well,
It looks
kinda-
like
it
sunflowers.
could be.
Looks like sunflowers. Yeah.
It could be black-eyed Susans. As a Maryland native,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you can swing your purse without hitting a black-eyed Susan. So that's what I saw initially, but I'm just bringing my eyes to it.
Yeah, that's what I saw them as, Black-Eyed Susans. Although I didn't remember the name of it.
So Laura Gilpin was from Colorado, and she traveled. She was really connected to the Navajo Nation. She traveled and photographed a lot with her partner. They would go down there, and she was really interested in the people, but she was also really interested in the people's relationship to landscape. So she has some beautiful photographs of the Navajo country nature. And so she, unlike some of the contemporaries that were photographing nature at the time, she always did a really far out cropping of the scene versus, a very up close, very, focused on details of something very, with a very short distance between her and the camera. That's not how she did it, because just photographing she believed photographing just the piece of nature kind of standalone didn't explain the complex connection people have with nature.
Yeah.
Whereas if you pull back like this, do you feel like you're in the scene more? Do you feel like you have a deeper connection, or do you think you might feel more connected if it were just a picture of a single, one of these single black-eyed Susans or flowers?
Well, I think I'm more in the picture here.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. You feel like you're standing there looking off in the distance.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's typically how you would encounter nature like this.
Right.
So she
Though
was
I do love the macro pictures.
yeah, and they're so beautiful, but that wasn't her interest. She was really interested in telling this story of, while she believed nothing in the US was really wilderness anymore because there had been people inhabiting it for 1,000+ years, she saw the land as the land and the people have to interact, and what does that interaction look like? So that's what she was really trying to convey with her landscapes. So Laura Gilpin has a ton of beautiful photographs from New Mexico and Colorado. Granted, the photographs, she doesn't have to do much work to get beautiful photographs of that part of the country. She was still able to capture the story of the people and the land.
So Peggy,
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of different kind of printing techniques. What's dye destruction printing?
Oh man. All right. It's a pretty intense. I have a cheat sheet here.
All right.
Let me consult it. I am not a photographer. Okay, wait, dye destruction. Okay, so
Unknown color.
it's gonna I'm gonna give you some like keynotes of this printing process. It's saturated colors and high contrast. So that's very typical of this. So you can kind of see how dark some of these areas are, but how bright. Very typical of this printing process. It's usually high gloss and plastic support rather than on paper. So it's a little more durable. And it's, I guess you really can't see it here, but there are borders around the photograph itself. And so it's commonly used, it started appearing, or most commonly started appearing in the 1960s, and it's still used today. Elliot Porter, I think Elliot, not Elliot, no, he was Diane Ambition. But so anyway, it's above damage in a dye destruction print reveals emulsion layers containing primary color dye. So as it starts to deteriorate, you'll start to see the different layers of coloring because it gets agitated in like 3 different trays or 4 different trays. Anyway.
That's interesting.
I just boiled down whatever this says. So yeah, and she was typically working in that process.
Any idea why she called it Navajo Rainbow?
She was on the Navajo lands.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, gang, those are our rainbows for this week. Next week, we are back with flowers that we have, and boy, do we have a lot of them here at the Amon Carter. So we'll be looking at some pretty flowers.
Yeah, I saw something on Facebook about a new flower installation there at Amon Carter.
Yes, it's called In the Night Garden, and that's one of the artworks we're going to look at next week. It's really
great.
Cool. It takes over almost an entire gallery, so that will be a treat for us to look at.
Oh, fun.
Good.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Sounds
All right,
great.
friends.
Cool.
Well, it was good
Have a
seeing
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
bye,
Peggy.
y'all. Have a good weekend.
You too.
You too.
You have a good day. See you soon, Peggy. Well, that was something, wasn't it? Nothing like 4 rainbows. 5. Since we had a double. Okay, tomorrow is Fort Worth Opera, Music, Memory, and More. This is our second installation of 7. We're looking forward to that. And Yetta, for you and Hans.
Yeah, how long time is it going to last? Did she say just 30 minutes?
It's more like an hour presentation.
Okay, yeah, then we'll miss it.
However, it will be recorded and up on YouTube, but only for 30 days. The grant that we got says that that's how long we can keep it up. So if you want to see it, it'll be up next week.
All right, thank you.
Oh, you bet. We don't want you to miss a thing.